Welcome back to True Talk English, everyone. I'm Marco.
And I'm Mariah. Today we're diving into a topic that's probably on a lot of our minds. The impact of technology on human relations.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? We have instant access to friends and family across the globe through social media and messaging apps. Yet sometimes it feels like those real face-to-face interactions are becoming rarer or even less meaningful.
Absolutely. Think about it. A decade or two ago, if you wanted to catch up with someone, you'd call them, or better yet, meet for coffee. Now, a quick text or a like on an Instagram post often replaces that. It's efficient, but is it fulfilling?
That's the core of it. I've definitely noticed it in my own life. I'll scroll through my feed and see all these updates from people, feel like I'm in the loop, but then realize I haven't had a deep personal conversation with some of them in months. It's almost like a superficial layer of connection.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just staying in touch. Social media often presents this curated version of our lives, right? Everyone's highlight reel, you see perfect vacations, amazing meals, happy families. It can create this unspoken pressure to present a similar image, and that can lead to feelings of inadequacy or loneliness if your reality doesn't.
Oh, for sure. It's the compare and despair trap. We're constantly bombarded with these seemingly perfect lives, and it's easy to forget that it's just a snapshot, not the full picture. And then, when you're feeling a bit down, seeing everyone else seemingly thriving can just amplify those feelings of isolation.
And what about instant messaging? It's incredibly convenient for quick questions or coordinating plans. But have you ever noticed how a complex or sensitive conversation can get completely lost in translation over text? Nuance, tone, body language, all gone.
You hit on a crucial point there, Maria. So many misunderstandings can arise from a simple text message because you can't hear the inflection in someone's voice or see their facial expression. It's efficient for logistics, but terrible for emotional depth. I've definitely had moments where I've thought, this really needs a phone call or an in-person chat, but I'll just text it. And then it becomes this diluted version of what could have been a meaningful exchange.
And then there's the paradox of having hundreds, even thousands, of friends or followers online, but feeling like you don't have anyone to call when you're genuinely struggling. It's a quantitative connection, not a qualitative one.
That's so true. It's like we've optimized for breadth over depth. We have a wider network than ever before, but the bonds within that network can feel shallower. I wonder if part of it is also the constant availability. We're always on, always reachable, so there's less incentive to carve out dedicated time for real-world interaction.
That's a great point. There's almost a fatigue that sets in, and the fear of missing out, or FOMO, keeps us glued to our screens, checking for updates even when we're in the same room as other people. How many times have you been at a dinner party and everyone is looking at their phone at some point?
Too many times. It's become almost ingrained behavior. So, if we acknowledge this problem of being connected but feeling alone, what's the solution? Is it about completely disconnecting or finding a balance?
I think it's definitely about finding a balance. We can't and probably shouldn't completely abandon these digital tools. They offer incredible benefits. Staying connected with distant loved ones, accessing information, building communities around niche interests. The key is to be intentional about how we use them.
Intentionality. I like that. So maybe scheduling no phone times or making a conscious effort to put the phone away when you're with people. Prioritizing face-to-face meetups even if it's just for a quick chat.
Exactly. And maybe shifting our mindset from quantity to quality in our online interactions too. Instead of just liking a post, sending a thoughtful message, or even making a quick call to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, it's about remembering that behind every screen is a real person with real feelings.
Absolutely. And recognizing that genuine connection, the kind that truly combats loneliness, often requires vulnerability and presence, things that are harder to achieve through a screen. It's about showing up, literally and emotionally.
So, perhaps the takeaway is to leverage the power of digital connection without letting it overshadow the irreplaceable value of real world relationships. Use the tools to bridge geographical gaps, but always prioritize the human element.
A perfect summary, Maria. It's a reminder that while technology can bring us closer in some ways, it's up to us to ensure it doesn't push us further apart in the most important ones.
Well said, Marco. That's all the time we have for digital dialogues today.
I remember a time when meeting someone almost always meant bumping into them in person, at a bar, through friends, at work. Now, your potential soulmate could be just a swipe away. What's your initial take on this shift? Is it net positive or are there significant downsides?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? On the one hand, dating apps have undeniably broadened our horizons. People who might never have crossed paths in their daily lives can now connect. Think about someone with a niche interest, or someone living in a less populated area. These apps offer access to a much larger pool of potential partners.
That's a great point about accessibility. It's democratized dating in a way. And let's not forget the algorithms. They promise to connect us with people who are genuinely compatible based on shared interests, values, and even personality traits. It sounds efficient, almost scientific.
On paper, yes. The idea of an algorithm sifting through countless profiles to find your perfect match is certainly appealing. It theoretically saves time and heartache. But I wonder, do these algorithms truly understand something as complex and nuanced as human compatibility? Or do they just create echo chambers matching us with people who are just like us rather than someone who might challenge or complement us in unexpected ways?
That's a valid concern. You could argue that some of the magic of falling in love comes from those unexpected connections, the surprises, the people who introduce you to new perspectives. If an algorithm is only showing you what it thinks you want, are you missing out on those serendipitous moments? And then there's the whole issue of how we present ourselves online. We curate our profiles, often highlighting our best selves or sometimes an idealized version.
Exactly. The pressure to present a perfect profile can be immense. It's almost like a marketing exercise. And when you finally meet in person, there can be a significant disconnect between the online persona and the real person. This brings us to virtual bonds. Many relationships now start and develop primarily online, through messaging, video calls, even online gaming.
Virtual intimacy is a fascinating aspect of this. People can develop deep emotional connections without ever having met in person. On one hand, it allows for a focus on emotional and intellectual compatibility before physical attraction comes into play. It can build a strong foundation.
But on the other hand, it can also create a false sense of intimacy. You're connecting with someone's curated online presence, not their full, messy human self. Things like body language, scent, and just being in someone's physical presence are incredibly important for building true intimacy. And those are missing in purely virtual interactions. It's almost like you're falling in love with an idea of a person.
That's so true. And what happens when those virtual connections transition to real life? The stakes can feel incredibly high, and the reality might not always match the virtual fantasy. It can be a rude awakening for some. So, where does this leave us, Maria? Are we sacrificing genuine connection for convenience and perceived efficiency?
I don't think it's black and white. Dating apps and digital tools are here to stay. The key, I believe, is to use them mindfully. They can be fantastic tools for discovery and for expanding your social circle, but we need to remember that they are just that, tools. The real work of building a relationship still happens offline through shared experiences, vulnerability, and genuine human interaction.
I agree. It's about leveraging the benefits of technology without letting it dictate the entirety of our romantic lives. We still need to prioritize real-world encounters and not get too caught up in the endless scrolling and the pursuit of the perfect match, as defined by an algorithm. Perhaps the future of love is a blend, using digital platforms to initiate connections, but then quickly transitioning to authentic, in-person interactions to truly explore compatibility and build intimacy.
Precisely. The digital age has redefined the entry point to romance, but the core ingredients of love, trust, communication, shared experiences, and genuine presence remain timeless. It's about adapting to the new tools without losing sight of what truly matters in a relationship.
The classic family dinner, once a hub of conversation and connection, now often features everyone staring down at their glowing rectangles. I've seen it myself, and it's heartbreaking to witness. What do you think is lost in those moments of silence?
So much, Marco. Dinner time or any shared meal used to be a natural space for debriefing the day, sharing stories, laughing, and just being present with each other. When everyone's engrossed in their phones, those opportunities for organic conversation and bonding simply vanish. It creates a physical proximity but an emotional distance. It's a missed chance for parents to truly listen to their children and for children to feel heard and seen.
And it's not just the dinners. Let's talk about technological dependence in children. It starts young now. Toddlers are given tablets to keep them quiet, and as they grow, screens become their primary source of entertainment, education, and even social interaction. What are the long-term implications of this early and heavy reliance?
The implications are vast and concerning. We're seeing issues with attention spans, social development, and even emotional regulation. When children are constantly stimulated by screens, they can struggle with boredom, imaginative play, and developing real-world coping mechanisms. And for older children, the pressure of social media and online gaming can lead to anxiety, comparison culture, and even addiction. It's a double-edged sword because while there's educational content, the sheer volume and addictive nature of some apps are hard for developing brains to resist.
And it's not just the kids. Parents are often just as, if not more, glued to their devices. We're checking emails, scrolling social media, trying to juggle work and home life, all through a screen. This leads to the idea of parents being emotionally disconnected. We might be physically present, but our minds are elsewhere, constantly pulled by notifications and digital demands.
This is perhaps the most insidious impact. Children are incredibly perceptive. They notice when a parent's eyes are on a phone instead of on them. This constant distraction can make children feel secondary to the device, leading to feelings of neglect or unimportance. It erodes trust and makes it harder to build that deep, secure attachment. Parents might be physically there, but if they're not truly present and engaged, the emotional connection suffers.
It's a vicious cycle, isn't it? Kids see parents on screens, so they want screens. Parents use screens to manage stress or stay connected, which then impacts their presence with their kids. So, what's the solution? Is it a complete digital detox, which seems unrealistic in today's world?
I don't think a complete ban is the answer for most families, nor is it practical. It's about finding a healthy balance and setting boundaries, establishing screen-free zones or screen-free times, like during meals or for the first hour after school, can be incredibly beneficial. Modeling healthy screen habits as parents is also crucial. If children see their parents constantly on devices, they'll emulate that behavior.
That's a great point about modeling. It's about conscious usage. Maybe having designated times for family device use, or even engaging with screens together, like watching a movie or playing a game, rather than everyone retreating into their own digital worlds. It's about prioritizing real-world interaction and conversation.
Exactly. It's about intentionality. Using technology as a tool, not letting it become the master. Reclaiming those moments of connection, whether it's through shared meals, outdoor activities, or simply having a conversation without the interruption of pings and notifications. It's a challenge, but the health of our family dynamics depends on it.
You might see what they had for lunch, where they went on vacation, or what meme they shared. But does that really make them a friend? I sometimes feel like we're collecting acquaintances rather than truly connecting.
Exactly. It's the difference between quantity and quality. You might have 500 friends online, but how many of them would you call at 3 a.m. if you were in a crisis? How many truly know your deepest fears or your biggest dreams? Social media often fosters a sense of superficial communication. We share curated highlights, not the messy, authentic parts of our lives.
That's so true. It's like we're all performing for an audience. We post the perfect selfie, the idyllic family vacation photo, but rarely do we share moments of vulnerability or struggle. And when communication is reduced to likes, comments, or short messages, are we really nurturing a bond?
I don't think so. True friendship thrives on shared experiences, deep conversations, mutual support, and vulnerability. It's about being able to sit in comfortable silence or having a long, rambling phone call where you dissect everything. You can't really do that through an emoji reaction or a quick text. The nuances of tone, body language, and immediate empathy are all lost.
And what about the effort involved? Maintaining real friendships requires time and effort. Scheduling coffee, visiting, offering a listening ear, celebrating milestones, or simply being there during tough times. Virtual friendships, in contrast, often demand very little. A quick like feels like an acknowledgement, but it's a low-effort substitute for actual engagement.
It's a dangerous substitute because it can create an illusion of connection. We might feel like we're keeping in touch with people just by seeing their posts, but we're not actually engaging with them in a meaningful way. This can lead to a sense of loneliness, even when surrounded by thousands of virtual friends. You're connected, but not truly seen.
That's a profound point, Maria. The irony is that platforms designed to connect us can sometimes make us feel more isolated. Because while we're scrolling through everyone else's highlight reels, we might feel like our own lives aren't measuring up, or that we're missing out, and that can lead to withdrawing from real-world interactions.
Absolutely. There's also the element of fleeting attention. Online, friendships can feel disposable. If someone unfollows you or you fall out of their feed, the connection can simply vanish without much thought. With real friendships, there's a history, a shared journey, and a much greater investment that makes them harder to discard.
So, how do we navigate this? Is there a way to leverage the benefits of virtual connections without letting them erode the quality of our real-world friendships?
I think it comes down to intentionality. We can use social media to stay updated on people's lives or even to initiate reconnecting. Hey, I saw your post about X. Let's grab coffee and talk more about it. But the real work of friendship still needs to happen offline. It's about consciously prioritizing in-person interactions, making time for those deeper conversations, and being genuinely present when you're with someone.
That's a great takeaway. It's about using the digital tools as a bridge, not as the destination. Recognizing that a like is not a hug, and a comment isn't a heart-to-heart. Our deepest human need for connection is still best met through authentic, in-person relationships.
Exactly. Let's cherish our true connections and nurture them with the time and care they deserve. The quality of our friendships will always be more fulfilling than the quantity of our digital friends.
It feels like just a few years ago, working from home was a rare perk, maybe a snow day activity. Now, for millions, it's just work. Let's start with communication. How has it changed when you're no longer bumping into colleagues by the coffee machine?
It's become far more intentional, but also, paradoxically, more fragmented. We've replaced spontaneous chats with scheduled video calls, instant messages, and endless email threads. On the one hand, it can be more efficient because you're focused. On the other, you lose those informal cues, the nuances of body language, and the quick collaborative brainstorming that happens organically in an office. It often feels like you're always on because a message can come through at any time.
That always-on feeling is something I hear a lot about. It leads us right into hyperconnectivity. While it allows for flexibility, it also blurs the lines between work and personal life. It's like the office has followed us home and set up shop in our living rooms.
Precisely. The expectation to be constantly reachable, to respond to emails late into the evening, or jump on an unscheduled call can be incredibly draining. The digital leash feels shorter than ever. This constant connectivity, while enabling remote work, also makes it much harder to truly switch off and recharge.
And how has this impacted leadership? Managing a team when everyone is distributed globally, or even just across different time zones, requires a completely different skill set than traditional in-person leadership.
It really does. Leaders can no longer rely on simply observing their team in an office. They need to prioritize trust, empathy, and clear communication. It's less about micromanagement and more about empowering individuals and focusing on results. Building team cohesion and company culture remotely is also a huge challenge. How do you foster a sense of belonging when people might never meet in person? It requires deliberate effort in creating virtual social spaces and fostering psychological safety.
That brings us to work-life balance, or the lack thereof for many. For some, remote work has been a godsend, offering flexibility to manage family commitments or personal pursuits. For others, it's led to burnout, longer hours, and the complete erosion of boundaries.
It's a huge mixed bag. On the positive side, cutting out the commute can save hours a day, which can be reallocated to family, hobbies, or simply more sleep. There's often more flexibility in scheduling personal appointments. However, the downside is that the home often becomes the office, and separating the two becomes incredibly difficult. People might find themselves working longer hours because the office is always there, literally. The concept of leaving work is gone.
So, considering all these changes, the benefits and the drawbacks, what do you think is the long-term impact on the very culture of work? Are we headed towards a permanently hybrid model, or will the pendulum swing back to traditional offices?
I think a hybrid model is likely here to stay for many industries. Companies have seen the cost savings and the potential for a broader talent pool, and employees often value the flexibility. However, we're still learning how to do it effectively. The new culture will need to prioritize well-being, establish clear boundaries around connectivity, and focus on purposeful in-person interactions when they do happen. It's about designing work around people, not just around tasks.
That's a crucial point. Designing work around people. It sounds like the key to success in this new era isn't just about the technology, but about how we as humans adapt our practices and expectations.
Precisely. The technology is just the enabler. The true transformation lies in our ability to redefine productivity, connection, and well-being in a distributed world.
It feels like every day there's a new study or anecdotal evidence pointing to this issue. Let's start with the general increase in stress and anxiety. What do you think are the primary digital culprits contributing to this?
Well, the constant barrage of information is a huge factor. We're flooded with news, social media updates, emails, and notifications. Our brains are simply not designed to process that much input constantly. There's the fear of missing out, FOMO, which keeps us tethered to our devices, always checking to see what others are doing. And then there's the curated perfection of social media, where everyone else's lives seem flawless, leading to endless comparisons.
That comparison trap is particularly insidious, isn't it? Especially for adolescents and young people whose identities are still forming. They're constantly exposed to idealized versions of reality, leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. This plays directly into social anxiety.
It does. While social media supposedly connects us, it can paradoxically fuel social anxiety. Young people might spend hours crafting the perfect post or message, agonizing over likes and comments. The pressure to present a flawless online persona can be immense, making real-life social interactions feel even more daunting. They might avoid face-to-face interactions because the filtered, controlled environment of the digital world feels safer.
So, instead of building confidence in social settings, it actually erodes it. And this can lead to a deeper sense of isolation. It's ironic because you can have hundreds or thousands of friends online, yet feel completely alone.
It's a profound paradox. The connections are often superficial. You might see what someone had for lunch, but you're not having deep, meaningful conversations. It's an illusion of connection. for young people especially if their primary mode of interaction becomes digital. They miss out on developing essential in-person social skills, reading body language, understanding emotional cues, handling conflict face-to-face. This can lead to a real struggle to form and maintain genuine, supportive friendships, which are crucial for mental well-being.
And the isolation can be exacerbated by things like cyberbullying, or just the feeling of being excluded from online groups or events. It creates a constant low-level hum of anxiety about social standing. What role do you think the constant availability of devices plays in all this? The fact that the digital world is literally in our pockets 24/7?
The always-on nature is critical. There's no real escape. Even when you're physically alone, your phone is a portal to all these potential stressors. The blue light from screens disrupts sleep patterns, which in turn impacts mood and stress resilience. And the addictive nature of apps designed to keep us scrolling makes it incredibly hard to disconnect. It creates a cycle where the very thing causing anxiety is also the thing we feel compelled to engage with.
It's a powerful feedback loop. So, given these significant challenges, what steps can individuals and perhaps more importantly, parents and educators take to mitigate this digital anxiety and foster better mental health in the younger generations?
Education is key. Teaching digital literacy, critical thinking about online content, and promoting healthy screen habits from a young age are vital. For parents, it's about setting boundaries, encouraging offline activities, and most importantly, modeling healthy tech use themselves. We can't expect our kids to put their phones down if we're constantly on ours. And for everyone, it's about prioritizing real-world connections, spending time in nature, practicing mindfulness, and seeking professional help when needed.
It sounds like it's less about demonizing technology and more about building resilience and intentionality in how we use it. Recognizing its power and ensuring it serves us rather than the other way around.
Exactly. Technology is a tool. We need to learn to wield it wisely, especially when it comes to our mental and emotional well-being. The goal isn't to disconnect entirely, but to connect authentically. That's both online and, more importantly, in real life.
From customer service bots handling our queries to AI assistants scheduling our lives, we're interacting with non-human entities more than ever before. Do you think these automated interactions are making us less patient or less empathetic with actual humans?
I think there's a real risk of that. When we get used to instant, efficient, and often emotionless interactions with AI, our expectations for human interaction can shift. We might become less tolerant of imperfections, slower responses, or emotional nuances from real people. Think about how frustrating it can be when a human customer service agent isn't as quick or knowledgeable as a bot. This can erode our patience and, in turn, our empathy.
That's a great point. And it's not just about patience. With conversational bots, for example, they're designed to mimic human conversation, sometimes even expressing simulated empathy. But it's not genuine. What happens when we get used to this kind of fake empathy?
That's a major concern. If we're constantly interacting with AI that simulates understanding and concern, we might start to confuse that with true empathy. True empathy requires shared experience, emotional recognition, and a genuine connection to another being's feelings. Bots can't truly feel or understand. They can only process data and respond based on algorithms. We risk becoming desensitized to genuine human emotional cues if we're constantly exposed to these superficial imitations.
So it's almost like a muscle we're not exercising as much. If we rely on AI to handle interactions, even simple ones, are we losing opportunities to practice and develop our own empathy skills? What about the sense of a shared human experience? So it's almost like a muscle we're not exercising as much. If we rely on AI to handle interactions, even simple ones, are we losing opportunities to practice and develop our own empathy skills? What about the sense of a shared human experience?
Exactly. Empathy is built through face-to-face conversations, active listening, observing body language, and truly engaging with another person's story. If our primary mode of communication shifts towards quick digital exchanges, or if we offload complex emotional interactions to AI, we lose those crucial moments for empathetic growth. We might become less adept at recognizing and responding to genuine distress or joy in others.
And this extends to how AI might change the way we interact with information about other people. Algorithms feed us curated content, sometimes creating echo chambers that limit our exposure to diverse perspectives. If we're not exposed to different viewpoints, does that make it harder to empathize with those who hold them?
Absolutely. Empathy often stems from understanding different lived experiences. If AI's personalization algorithms only show us what we already agree with or are familiar with, we might lose opportunities to develop empathy for people outside our immediate social bubble. This can contribute to greater polarization and less understanding between different groups.
So it's not just the direct interaction with AI, but also the way AI mediates our understanding of the world and other people. This could lead to a less empathetic society overall. Are there any upsides, though? Could AI in some ways help foster empathy?
That's the hopeful side of the coin. AI could be used to train empathy, for example, through VR simulations for doctors or therapists practicing difficult conversations. Or AI could analyze vast amounts of data to highlight underserved communities or systemic issues, bringing awareness that might spark empathetic action. The potential is there, but it requires intentional, ethical design.
So the key is how we design and implement AI, ensuring it augments rather than diminishes our human capacities. It's about being mindful of the trade-offs and actively working to preserve and cultivate our empathy in an increasingly automated world.
Exactly. We need to remember that AI is a tool. It's up to us to ensure it enhances our humanity, not detracts from it. Prioritizing genuine human connection and actively practicing empathy in our daily lives will become even more crucial as AI becomes more integrated.
It feels like every app, every website, every device is collecting data on us. And while that's often framed as convenience, it inherently chips away at our traditional understanding of privacy. Do you think privacy, as we once knew it, is essentially a thing of the past?
I think the traditional notion of privacy, where your personal life was largely contained within your immediate circle, is definitely a relic. Now, with social media, smart devices, and data brokers, our lives are constantly being digitized, analyzed, and shared. It's like living in a glass house, but many people don't even realize how transparent they've become. The challenge is, if everything is potentially public, what does that do to our sense of safety and vulnerability?
And this directly impacts trust between people. If you assume everything you say or do online could be seen or misinterpreted by anyone, it makes you more guarded. How does this constant potential for exposure affect the way we form and maintain relationships?
It creates a chilling effect, doesn't it? The fear of being misquoted, taken out of context, or having past actions resurface can make us less willing to be truly open and vulnerable, even with people we consider friends. We curate our online personas so carefully, which can lead to a lack of genuine trust because we're not truly showing our authentic selves. If I'm worried about every picture or comment being scrutinized, how can I ever fully relax and trust someone to see the real me?
That's a profound point. It makes authenticity in relationships incredibly difficult. We're constantly performing for an audience, even for our closest connections, because the lines between public and private are so blurred. It's like we're always on stage.
Exactly. Think about how much we learn about people now, not from direct conversation, but by scrolling through their past social media posts. This prejudging or forming opinions based on a curated online history can bypass the organic process of getting to know someone face to face. It can create a sense of knowing someone without truly knowing them. And when something is posted online, whether it's a casual comment or a photo, it takes on a permanence that real-life interactions rarely have.
And this brings us to the more explicit aspect of surveillance. Beyond our own voluntary exposure, there's the pervasive data collection by tech companies, governments, and even individuals. This knowledge that we're constantly being monitored, analyzed, and targeted, how does that impact our sense of freedom and psychological well-being?
It fosters a low-level anxiety, a feeling of being constantly watched or assessed. Even if we're not doing anything wrong, the mere knowledge of surveillance can inhibit free expression and critical thought. It creates a chilling effect where people self-censor. For example, if you know your workplace monitors your online activity, are you going to express dissenting opinions, even in private chats? This erosion of freedom and the feeling of being constantly evaluated can be very draining and lead to a sense of powerlessness.
So, it's not just about what we choose to share, but what's being collected about us without our explicit knowledge or full understanding. And that contributes to a broader societal decline in trust, not just between individuals, but also in institutions. So, what can we do, Maria? Is there a way to reclaim some of our privacy and foster genuine trust in this new landscape?
It's certainly an uphill battle, but I think it starts with individual awareness and digital hygiene. Being more mindful of what we share, who we share it with, and understanding the privacy settings of our platforms. For relationships, it's about making a conscious effort to build trust through offline interactions, through vulnerability that isn't broadcast to the world. It's about prioritizing true, authentic connection over online performance.
And pushing for stronger privacy regulations, holding tech companies accountable, and demanding more transparency about data collection. It's a societal challenge, not just an individual one.
Exactly. We need to actively define what privacy means to us in this digital age and then advocate for it. Because if we don't, we risk losing not just our privacy, but the very essence of genuine human trust and authenticity.
Do you have any examples of how technology has played a role in bringing people back together, perhaps after a long time apart?
Oh, definitely. Think about long-lost friends or family members. I have heard so many stories of people finding childhood friends on Facebook after decades, or distant relatives connecting through ancestry websites and then moving to video calls. There's a beautiful example of a woman who reconnected with her birth mother through a DNA testing service and then used video calls to build a relationship across continents. That simply wouldn't have been possible even 20 years ago. It's like these digital tools act as modern-day detectives, helping us find the missing pieces of our personal histories.
That's incredibly powerful. It truly highlights how technology can facilitate those emotional reunions. And speaking of distance, connecting families across distances has become almost commonplace now. Grandparents seeing their grandkids grow up via video calls, even if they live thousands of miles away. That's incredibly powerful. It truly highlights how technology can facilitate those emotional reunions. And speaking of distance, connecting families across distances has become almost commonplace now. Grandparents seeing their grandkids grow up via video calls, even if they live thousands of miles away.
It's a game changer, isn't it? My own family is spread across 3 different countries. Without video calls, group chats, and shared photo albums, it would be incredibly difficult to maintain those close bonds. My nephew gets to see his cousin's birthday parties, and my parents can watch him take his first steps, all in real time. It doesn't replace a hug, but it keeps the emotional connection vibrant and alive in a way that letters or even phone calls couldn't. It reduces that feeling of being completely cut off.
It shrinks the world in a really meaningful way for families. And it's not just about seeing faces, it's about shared experiences. Playing online games together, watching movies simultaneously while on a video call, or collaborating on shared documents for family projects. These are new ways to interact and bond.
Exactly. And this extends to fostering supportive communities. Think about people with rare diseases or individuals living in remote areas with niche hobbies. The internet allows them to find others who truly understand their experiences. Online support groups for new parents, forums for caregivers, or gaming communities where people form genuine friendships. These are powerful examples of technology building solidarity.
Those online communities can be lifelines for people who might otherwise feel completely alone. They provide a sense of belonging and understanding that local communities might not always offer, especially for specific needs. It's truly incredible how the internet can bring together like-minded individuals, regardless of geography.
Yes, and it's not just about shared interests. In times of crisis, we've seen how quickly technology can mobilize communities. Think about crowdfunding platforms for medical emergencies or local neighborhood apps that connect volunteers with elderly residents needing help during a snowstorm. Technology facilitates rapid communication and coordination, turning passive concern into active support.
Those are fantastic examples. It shows how technology can be more than just a distraction. It can be a genuine enabler of compassion and collective action. It gives us the tools to reach out, to find help, and to offer it, often with unprecedented speed and scale.
And it's a good reminder that while we need to be mindful of screen time and digital overwhelm, we also shouldn't overlook the immense positive potential. It's about harnessing these tools for good, intentionally using them to strengthen bonds, bridge distances, and build empathy.
So the message isn't to abandon technology, but to leverage it wisely, to use it as that bridge rather than a wall. to be intentional about seeking out connections and using these platforms to enhance real-world relationships.
Precisely. Let's celebrate the ways technology helps us stay connected, rebuild what's lost, and build stronger, more supportive networks. It's a powerful tool for human connection when used with purpose.
So, how do we consciously choose when and how to engage with it, rather than letting it control us?
I think it starts with awareness. We need to honestly assess our current tech habits. How much time are we really spending online? When are we feeling overwhelmed or disconnected? Understanding our patterns is the first step. Once we're aware, we can start setting boundaries.
Boundaries are key. And that can be tough because technology often blurs those lines. What are some practical boundaries you've seen work well for people or families?
Simple ones can make a huge difference. For families, screen-free zones like the dinner table or bedrooms are essential. Or screen-free times like the first hour after waking up or the last hour before bed. For individuals, it might be designating specific times to check emails or social media rather than being constantly tethered. Turning off non-essential notifications is another powerful step. It gives you back control over your attention.
Turning off notifications is a game changer. It really helps reduce that constant pull. Beyond boundaries, what about specific mindful practices that can help us engage with technology more intentionally?
Mindfulness plays a huge role. Before picking up your phone, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it out of habit, or do I have a specific purpose? If you're scrolling social media, try to notice how it makes you feel. Are you feeling inspired or anxious? Just that moment of reflection can help you make a more conscious choice. Also, consciously scheduling digital detox periods, even if it's just for an hour, a half day, or a full weekend, can be incredibly restorative.
That intentionality is so important. It's about being the driver, not just a passenger, in our digital lives. And when we talk about strengthening human relationships, it's about prioritizing real-world interactions over virtual ones.
Absolutely. Make a conscious effort to prioritize face-to-face conversations. When you're with someone, truly be present. Put your phone away, make eye contact, and actively listen. These small acts of presence are incredibly powerful for building deeper connections. Scheduling regular meetups with friends, having family game nights, or going for walks together. These are all practices that strengthen bonds without a screen in between.
Those simple yet profound practices often get lost in the digital noise. What about for parents trying to instill these habits in their children? It must be a constant challenge.
It's incredibly challenging, but parents have to lead by example. Like if children see their parents constantly glued to screens, they'll emulate that behavior. Having open conversations about responsible tech use, explaining why certain boundaries are in place, and encouraging a variety of offline hobbies and activities are all crucial. It's about teaching them that technology is a tool, not the entirety of life.
So it's about shifting the mindset from passive consumption to active engagement, both with technology and with each other. It sounds like a continuous process, not a one-time fix.
Exactly. It's a journey of ongoing adjustment. The digital landscape is constantly evolving, so our approach to living consciously with it also needs to adapt. The goal isn't to demonize technology, but to integrate it into our lives in a way that truly serves our well-being and strengthens our most valuable asset, our human relationships.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Maria. It's about empowering ourselves to use technology as a force for good, rather than letting it detract from the richness of our real lives.
Precisely. Let's make conscious choices that enrich our lives, both online and off.
A fantastic call to action for all of us. Thank you, Maria, for guiding us through these essential practices.
My pleasure, Marco.